Justina Machado, you star in the Netflix comedy series One Day at a Time, which of course was inspired by the classic sitcom that was on CBS in the 70s and 80s. Were you familiar with the original series, and had you already watched it by the time this opportunity came about?
I think I was familiar with the series. I didn't really watch it because I was too young, and by the time I got old enough to watch it, Mackenzie Phillips was married, and they were older, and it wasn't something I was quite interested in at that time because I was a lot younger. Full House was my thing, and for all of those, not Full House. Oh my God, I do love Full House, but I used to love the Growing Pains and all of that stuff, the Cosby Show, all of that. So when I did get the opportunity to do this, I did watch some on YouTube. I watched some of the old shows just so that I could have the essence of what this show was about.
Did that make it, not having been, growing up with it, like watching it every week, from the moment it aired, did that make it easier or make it feel like less pressure to sort of have all that memory to try and follow up on?
I didn't feel any pressure at all because it's a completely different show. It's a reimagining of the show. The essence is still there, but it's different. Being a single mom is not that big a deal anymore. In this show, and my show, I have a son and a daughter as opposed to two daughters. And there's the third generation living in the house with us, which is Rita Moreno. So I didn't feel pressure. And plus, knowing that at the helm of it all was Norman Lear and Gloria Calderon-Kellett and Mike Royce, I felt pretty confident that it was gonna be good.
Yeah, and that is obviously quite a legacy, especially Norman Lear, who made All in the Family and Good Times and Maude and so much, other, TV shows. What was it like stepping into a show with his kind of legacy attached to it?
I think there were so many firsts for me that I think I was overwhelmed by so many things that I didn't really take a lot of time to go, oh my God, I'm working with this person. Oh my God, I'm working with this person. I was just like, let's make this good. We got to get this together. We have an opportunity to change the Latino narrative. We have an opportunity to put ourselves out there the way we know we are, the way we love for people to realize that they're a lot more similar than we are different. And that to me was my main goal. The other stuff was just icing on the cake. If I let myself think about that, I would have been totally overwhelmed, and I would have been, I would have been overwhelmed. But thank God Norman Lear is so disarming, and he's so welcoming, and he's so genuine that it just felt like home right away with everyone.
As you mentioned, one of the things that's unique about this show compared to the original version of it is that it is about a Cuban American family, and we don't often get to see a lot of Latin American points of view in TV and film. What was it like, getting to explore that in an in-depth way in this show with your on-screen family?
It's such a hard thing to describe because I know it's a first for people watching it, because so many times, me and a lot of the cast, we get people tweeting us, trying to reach us and letting us know how great it is for them to be represented, how they're so happy, how that they see themselves up there. I feel very honored. I always wanted to do important stuff with my art. I knew I'm an actress, and there's that thing that people always like to say, well, you're not curing cancer, you're not doing that, but this is an important job. Art is important. And if we can change the narrative, let people see us in a different way, and the way that we are, and I keep repeating this because it's true, then I feel like I'm doing a part. I feel like I'm doing something with my art, and I'm not just going to work and getting a paycheck. So I feel responsible to tell great stories, and I feel honored to be allowed to tell these stories.
And in addition to that, your character is an Army veteran, and she's dealing with post-traumatic stress, which adds, of course, a whole different layer to this story. How did you prepare for that aspect of that character?
Well, we actually met with someone. she is a veteran. Her name was her name is Priscilla Juan. I wanted to get that right. Priscilla Juan is her name. And so we spoke to her. I had, you know, a lunch with her, like 2-hour lunch. Plus she came in and she spoke to the writers, and we had a lot of vets come in and speak to us on it. So that's how we prepared for that part.
Not a lot of sitcoms these days, tackle a lot of these kinds of issues that this show does. Although Norman Lear has a history of that, of course, with All in the Family. And since this is on Netflix now, the episodes run a little longer, and you can go into even greater depth. So what has it been like tackling those topics like PTSD and you deal with the religion and gender, in this family comedy format?
I mean, it's an actor's dream. Are you kidding me? I get to do it all. It's like, I really get to do it all. It's like all of the years of guest stars, of recurrings, of all of these things that I'm very grateful for. It's like I finally get to put all of that life into this character. And to me, she's like the perfect acting cocktail. I love it. I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. It's a lot of fun. It's challenging, and I just love doing it.
As you mentioned, you've done a lot of recurring and guest starring roles throughout your career, and now here you are, the central lead character of this series. How were you cast on the show? Like, were you offered it? Did you audition? What was that process like?
I auditioned because Norman Lear, he's old school. So it's like everybody has to come in for him. Of course, not Rita Moreno. She didn't have to come in for him. But, that's understandable. And I mean, it's the casting process was not just Norman. I mean, it was Gloria, Mike, Brent, and Michael Garcia, all of these guys, and Brent Miller. But he just wants to see people come in and read. And that's what we did. I went in and I read. It was like that simple. It really was. It was like one of those things that was just kind of meant to be. It's like I went in, I read. I was attached to another show at the time. And I was lucky enough that the other show realized this opportunity that I had and released me and let me come do this show. So it was really, I think, meant to be, because it just kind of happened. Really, sometimes you fight really hard for something and it happens. Sometimes it just happens. But of course, I think it's because of all the stuff I've done in the past. You know what I mean? Like, it finally came to culmination. I'm like, yes, finally. And it couldn't be a more perfect show.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Of course, it takes years to have an overnight success in this business.
Yeah, exactly. Years.
Now, this show is a traditional multi-camera sitcom. And most of your previous TV work, that you've been known for, like 6 Feet Under and a lot of other shows that you've done, have been either dramas or single camera shows. Was this a new format for you, or what was it like to step into that kind of style of TV?
I did some sitcoms in the 90s, so I do remember the late 90s when they were still kind of popular and around. I had done a few. Yeah, it's a different beast for sure, but it's a combination of theater and TV and a party at the same time. I mean, because you have all of these people in front of you, not just the audience, but the writers, the producers, the people on the floor. They're running to you, they're giving you changes as you go. So it's kind of like acting boot camp. and it's exhilarating and nerve-wracking at the same time. So yeah, it's something that you have to get used to, because you kind of feel like you have to entertain the people, but really you got to get the job done, So it's this delicate balance that you have to work with.
Yeah, it does seem like multi-camera sitcoms, and something that gets lost. Sometimes they're looked at as very kind of old-fashioned, but at the same time, theater is old-fashioned and it never gets old. How does that audience do you feel like your performance feeds off of that, and not to be able to know what's working in the room, as opposed to when there's no studio audience and you don't necessarily know what it's going to be like when it comes together?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because it's like, of course you feed off of them. If they're loving it, you're milking it. You know what I mean? It's like, you're like, all right, I got this. But there's also the bombing effect where you just walk out and you're like, oh my God, I got to go back out there. That didn't work this time. But the beautiful thing is I have another opportunity to do it again. So yeah, it's an immediate gratification, and it's a dance that the audience and the actors do together.
Well, if ever there's a moment that sort of doesn't, land as well as you thought, just blame the writers, and that's all you have.
Exactly. That's a good one. I'm gonna blame the writers.
Although not to their faces, or they might like kill you off.
Exactly.
Now, of course, as you mentioned, you're working with Rita Moreno as your mother Lydia, and you did work with her before, on a sitcom you made a few years ago, Welcome to the Family. What was it like working with her now again on this show, full time? This mother-daughter dynamic that you have on that show.
It's so interesting because it's so amazing, but we do really have good chemistry together. So that to me was like, wow, I have chemistry with Rita Moreno. So you forget again, because she has that quality that Norman Lear has, that she is Rita Moreno, because she's so disarming, she's so generous, and she's so loving. It's a pleasure every single day. Every single day, it's a pleasure to be in this woman's surroundings, to hear her stories, to hear her wisdom, and to play opposite her. So it's great.
Was she a major influence to you throughout your career? I mean, she is such an icon, and she has been for such a long time now.
Absolutely. I don't think there is a Latina or Latino, or forget about that, even just like a person that, is into musical theater, or, appreciates just great talent, that hasn't been influenced by Rita Moreno. So yeah, absolutely. She's like la reina in our community, for sure.
Now, also important in this family dynamic, of course, is your relationship with the two young actors who play your children, Isabella Gomez and Marcel Ruiz. How is it developing that familiar rapport with them as actors?
That was immediate. I actually know Marcel from before doing the show. His parents and I are friends. His parents are wonderful filmmakers, and I had seen a movie that they made years ago, and I just became obsessed with them. So I knew them for years. Isabella, immediate. Like, Isabella walked into the room, and I had to do chemistry reads with the kids, and she was like, "Hi, Mom." I was like, she's smart. She's smart, she's genuine, she's good, and she's fantastic. I mean, she handles that language like, she definitely was the best person. Obviously, she got the job. And he's just so charming. He's so cool. Like, who's that cool at that age? So it's immediate with those two, because they're really wonderful, grounded young actors, and they're really great people.
And what's interesting about any show that deals with family, especially family with children, is that you oftentimes, if they run for years, you get to experience them kind of growing up as the actors are growing up on screen. Do you imagine what it would be like if this ran for as long as the original did, and you were with us 9 years later, where these actors might have grown to in terms of their talent, their ability, just.
Oh yeah, it's amazing to see that this is the beginning of their career, just the beginning, and how brilliant they already are. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what it's going to be like for them. I have no doubt that they are very successful, but they will continue to be extremely successful. I have no doubt.
Now, who knows how long the show could run, but we know it's at least getting one more season. It was announced that it's going to get a second season, which is absolutely great. Do you know when you start shooting again?
Yes, we start May 24th is our first day, and our first shoot date is May 31st.
Now, what are you most looking forward to about going back to shoot season 2? Like, have you read any scripts yet, or is that still yet to?
No, I haven't read any scripts yet, and I don't really need to, because I trust them. I kind of figured they got it the first year. I'm sure that they understand. I'm excited. I really don't know what's happening. They've told me a few things, but I don't want to know too much, because it's such a roller coaster when you're on it. I mean, we read the script on Wednesdays. We have rehearsal Thursday, Friday. Monday we do pre-shoots. Tuesday we're in front of a live audience. So it's like you just got to take it one day at a time. No pun intended. But that's exactly how you have to take it. And I don't want to know too much because it's too overwhelming.
What was your favorite moment, your experience, or scene that you got to shoot in season 1?
I have a soft spot for the pilot episode where she breaks down about wanting, you know, how she misses her ex-husband, with the mom, with the, you know, Rita trying to convince her to get back together, and her having that monologue. And I think it's because it was my audition monologue. So I have a soft spot for that moment because I feel like that's the moment in the audition that I got the job, with that monologue. So I love it. That's my favorite moment.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits of this show, you know, and the subjects it tackles, and the way, you know, it's written, is that, you know, in terms of actors' paradise, you get a lot of these nice, big, chewy, meaty monologue scenes and big, you know, some one-on-one dialogue scenes. That must,
Yeah.
you know, that must be absolutely thrilling to be an actor, to be able to do that.
It's so thrilling. It's so amazing. That's why it's like when people ask me, and I get asked this a lot, do you feel a lot of pressure? Do you feel like this is too much? I feel like this is what I've been working for my whole life. And no, there's no pressure. It's just a lot of gratitude, a lot of happiness, and a lot of like, let me go out there and let's keep doing this, you know? So yeah, I don't even know if I answered your question. I'm like in my head right now. I don't know why I just started looking at the flowers. I was like, yes. So I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for talking to me today, and congratulations on the show, and best of luck again when it comes back for season 2.
Thank you so much. I've had a great time doing this. My first time doing this. I wasn't sure where to look, so I hope I looked at the right place.
Oh yeah, it's totally fine. You can always,
okay, great. Thank you so much.
line of sight is good.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.